Howdy, Roby kids. It's Miss Roby here. We are here to do our first screencast. And so a screencast is basically you get to see what's on my computer. Ooh, how exciting. And so I'm using this tool today for the first time to show you our reading mini lesson, which is all about building action in dramas, which sounds kind of daunting. And when we talk about dramas, we're not really talking about like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that person sat next to me, or they wore the same shoes as me. We're talking more about the type of story. And so dramas are those stories that have characters and settings, and they're made to be spoken out loud and performed. So today, what we're going to talk about is those great objectives here, which are about how can we recount key details of a play or a drama and learn how each scene builds upon each other. So when we're reading stories, what's great about them is they're each connected. So everything has a purpose, and when a reader is actually reading that story, that author has carefully selected each event to kind of show you how the story is coming together. So that's what we're going to talk about today is how do stories come together, and how are those events helping shape our stories that we're reading. So one way great readers know this and they understand how stories are connected is that people sometimes use what we call plot mountains or story mountains. Now they mean the same thing, but basically it's showing you how pieces are connected. And I'm not going to necessarily show you that right now. You can come back and actually watch this video in the Google Slides when you see it. So make sure you stop and you take a look at that later on. But every drama has a story mountain. So as you can see here, especially on my screen, each story is kind of outlined like a map or a mountain. And you can see at the bottom here, it says introduction. So each story usually starts off with an introduction onto who is the main character. What do you know about the setting or where that story takes place? Later on, you have the rising action, which is talking about the problem the main character starts to face. Usually we uncover this within the first scene in a drama, or even in the first couple chapters if you're reading a storybook. There's usually a problem that a character has to overcome. Now at the top, you'll see we have the climax. So this is the peak of our mountain, the top of our story. And this is where kind of things get a little tough for your character. This is usually the toughest point to get over. It's how has the problem gotten worse? Okay, usually this is the bottom of the pit. This is the rock bottom that your character faces. And then you start climbing down that mountain and you have the turning point in your story. So how has your problems improved or that falling action? And then at the end, you uncover how did the problem get resolved? How does that problem get fixed? And that's what that resolution's about. And using a story mountain like this is going to help you retell a drama or a story whenever you're reading it. So today we're going to really look at and analyze Cinderella Too Much for Words and look at those different scenes that you read on Monday about Cinderella and really that action in the story about how they build upon each other. So if you take a look here, I have open pages 6 and 7 on our text for close reading. So we have Cinderella Too Much for Words by Gare Thompson. And you can see here in our drama, we have our characters listed. And so this is very common for plays or dramas. So we see stepsister number 1, and it says Cinderella's older stepsister. You also have the stepmother and stepsister number 2, or Cinderella's younger sister. So this is very, very common for plays and dramas that you see. Now below you'll see the setting, and it says 2 bedrooms in the tower of a palace in a forest, a morning in June 1549. So the setting and the characters help you really see that introduction that we were talking about in our story mountain. It really shows you where does our story start off. Now our scene 1, what's different about plays is that plays, instead of chapters, they have what we call scenes, and so those are chunks of our story. So in our scene 1, it's actually going to take place in the stepsister's number 1's bedroom, and I can see that because right here it actually states it within my text for close reading. So stepsister number 1 in a loud nasally voice, meaning a loud, like breathing through your nose, very kind of whiny sounding. Mother! 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 Come here this instant! Racing in. Child, what is it? It's Cinderella! My room is freezing! What if my bare feet touch the cold floor? You know how delicate I am. I don't know what to do. I don't! Stepmother sighing. Firstly, my dear, please do not use contractions. We are rich and can afford to use 2 words instead of 1. Yes, mother, I will not. Good. I have known it is Cinderella. She is horrid. She is wretched. Why am I running out of words to describe her? Brightening at the chance to insult Cinderella. Try lazy, mean, awful, horrible, lazy. Oh, very good. But there is no need to repeat lazy. Ladies of our standing, even when we are sitting, do not repeat words. Fine, but you see how bad and terrible she is. I will have to stay in bed all morning and not go to school. I shall tell Cinderella to light your fire at once. There, my sweet little, or it will get better. And that is not all. She put strawberries on my porridge. Horrendous! Cinderella knows strawberries are your 4th favorite fruit. Try to rest now. I hear your sister screaming. Calling. So after we just read that section of your text for close reading, we really were able to kind of see the start of our story mountain. We're able to kind of figure out the characters in the setting. So in the first scene, we know that this takes place in 1549, and it also helps me know about the characters that we're going to encounter, like the stepsisters and the stepmother. Now in scene 1, it really starts providing that rising action or that problem. So in scene 1, here's some things that we can kind of recap. Well, we learned that stepsister number one complains about Cinderella twice, right? She's mentioning stuff about not keeping her room warm, and she's not putting the right fruit on her porridge, right? She says her 4th favorite fruit was strawberry. So this scene ends up with Mother running out of the room while stepsister number 2 is screaming. And so we actually learned that the stepmother plans to speak to Cinderella about it. And like I said, she's rushing off. So this is kind of showing you that, the mother and stepsister number 1 really don't enjoy Cinderella. They're actually really upset with her. So it's building upon that drama because we're seeing that there's clearly a problem between the stepmother, the stepsister, and Cinderella. That's going to cause huge issues later on within our story. And since you read it yesterday, you probably can already kind of figure out what's going to happen. So let's continue reading this and let's see if we can identify just a little bit more and see if we can actually identify that climax in the story or the top point where it gets pretty bad for our characters. So here we are, we're in our text for close reading, and now we're on the back half of our story. So we're seeing scene number 2, and we're in stepsister number 2's bedroom. So here I go. Stepsister number 2 shrieking, "Mother!" Stepmother running in. "What disaster has befallen you, my child? Cinderella again?" Stepsister number 2. "First, she was really late. Tardy, one might say, and so my room was very cold, freezing, one might say, when I woke up. Then what do you suppose she put on my porridge?" Stepmother, "Your least favorite fruit? Blueberries?" Stepsister number 2. "No, strawberries, my most favorite." But I saw right through her trick, so I threw away the strawberries as if they were blueberries. Stepmother, "Well, hopefully the porridge was warm and delectable," meaning delicious. Stepsister number 2. "It was not. It was colder than a snowball wrapped in an icicle. Another black mark against Cinderella." Stepmother, "She is a thorn in our sides. Well, rest and compose yourself, as we have to prepare for tonight's ball." Stepsister number 2, dreamily, "I do hope to dance with the prince all night. Oh, by the by, Cinderella is not going, is she?" "Of course not. Who would want her to?" "Of course not. Who would want to dance with her?" So, based on our final scene, or scene 2 in our story, we were able to see that details about how it's building upon scene 1. So, we knew in scene 1 that stepsister number 1 and the stepmother were not particularly happy with Cinderella. Now, in scene 2, we kind of add upon that. We kind of gather a deeper understanding, and we're able to kind of see that rising action leading into that climax, or that big turning point for our characters. And so in scene number 2, here are some of the big things that I noticed. Stepsister number 2 complains about her freezing room and cold porch and claims Cinderella tried to kick her, or trick her, not kick her. And so she really threw out those old berries that she said were her favorite because she thought that Cinderella put blueberries on that. We also learned that the stepsisters are going to the ball, but Cinderella's not allowed to go. So that's very similar to what we've been learning and maybe what you already know about Cinderella. So how did that drama build upon? So we knew our rising action, that first problem was that there was a confrontation between Cinderella and the stepsister number 1 and her stepmother. Well, when we get to that climax, that peak point in scene 2, we're seeing that stepsister number 2 is also not happy with Cinderella. So this is really building upon the idea that everyone is upset with Cinderella. And I just realized I made a typo there. So sorry, friends. I'm going to go back and fix that right now. So what you're going to do next is, you can kind of see in Google Slides here, I want you to predict, what do you think would happen in the next scene? So if you had to continue writing this story, what do you think is going to happen? And then I want you to see if you can go back and add to this story mountain. Now, you may not be able to do that, and that's okay. Maybe you don't know the final conclusion. So if you look here, maybe you don't know exactly that, how has that problem improved here? Maybe you can't answer that, or the resolution. But I want you to see if you can type in, what were some of those things you uncovered? Maybe you know the introduction, the rising action, and climax. Okay, you're not going to be able to really uncover the falling action and resolution, but I want you to see, what do you think is going to happen next? All right, so good luck, my friends. As always, if you need help with anything, please reach out and contact me. I'm here to help. If you can't type in this, or maybe you don't want to, maybe you want to print it off and write it in, go for it. Please do that. Just make sure to have your parents take a picture and submit it into Google Classroom for us. All right? Well, here are the directions one last time, and hopefully if you need anything, you can reach out and contact me. All right, guys, good luck. Keep reading and keep doing your best. All right, have a great day.